Retention of public records. As a public official working for the Commonwealth of Virginia, the records created in the course of official duties are public records. According to the Virginia Public Records Act, public records are recorded information that documents a transaction or activity by or with any public officer, agency, or an employee of an agency. Public records can exist in all kinds of formats, including paper and electronic. Public records must be kept for a specific time period known as the records retention period. Retention is based on value. There are two types of values, primary and secondary. The primary value of records come from the original reason they were created and maintained, such as for administrative, legal, audit, and fiscal purposes. Primary value tends to diminish over time. Most records have a peak point of active use, followed by a period of inactive storage. Once the records cease to have value, they are then destroyed. A small minority of records have secondary value in addition to their primary value. These records have evidential, informational, historical, or cultural qualities that give them ongoing significance. Unlike primary value, secondary value tends to increase over time. Records with secondary value might document key events, decisions, actions, or policies of an organization. They are preserved so they will be available for future generations of historians, educators, and researchers. The vast majority of records have only a primary value, which is temporary and diminishes over time. These records are therefore non permanent. A small minority of records, just 3 to 5%, have secondary value. These records are permanent. Retention periods are set by a retention schedule. Retention schedules are documents approved by the Library of Virginia's Records Oversight Committee, which identifies how long specific records should be retained, when records should be destroyed, how records should be destroyed, and which records should be preserved permanently. Public officials in Virginia are not permitted to destroy the official public records of their agency unless the records appears on a retention schedule, the retention period has been fulfilled, and the agency's designated records officer has properly approved a certificate of records destruction. Additionally, there must be no litigation, audit, records request, or pending revision of the retention schedule at the time of the records destruction. There are numerous retention schedules for Virginia's government entities. All schedules are publicly available on the Library of Virginia website. To locate the schedules, begin at the home page of the Library of Virginia website, which is lva.virginia.gov. In the bottom right corner, under the heading titled For Localities and State Agencies, click Records Management. This takes you to the Records Management page of the website. From here, click on the second bullet point titled Retention Schedules. This page contains some important information you need to know before using the schedules to authorize destruction of records. At the bottom of the page, there are 3 links: General Schedules for Localities, General Schedules for State Agencies, and Specific Schedules for State Agencies. A general schedule, like the name suggests, contains common records created and maintained by most localities and state agencies. Localities use only general schedules. State agencies use general schedules, but may also use specific schedules. Specific schedules contains records that are unique to a specific agency, and that reflects its unique responsibilities. Let's look first at general schedules for localities. If you have a clear idea of what records you're looking for, you can use the searchable database link at the top of the page to search for records. For more information about the searchable database, check out the linked video in the description box below. Their first set of general schedules for localities are the General Administration Schedules. These include administrative, fiscal, general services, information technology, and personnel records. The next set of schedules are the local department schedules. These include specific local departments such as parks and recreation, public libraries, public schools, and electoral boards. Next are the human services schedules, including local community service boards and local departments of social services. Then comes the judiciary schedules, which include circuit courts, and finally, public safety. Public safety includes juvenile residential services and local law enforcement, fire and emergency services. The general schedules for localities begin with GS for general schedule, followed by two numbers, for example, GS19 for administrative records. Recent changes to a general schedule may be identified in red text. Next, let's look at the general schedules for state agencies. If you have a clear idea of what records you're looking for, you can use the searchable database link at the top of the page to search for records. Their first set of general schedules for localities are the General Administration Schedules. These include administrative, fiscal, general services, information technology, and personnel records. The remaining general schedules for state agencies cover specific department types. These include, for example, colleges and universities, fire, safety and security, law enforcement, and libraries and museums. The general schedules for state agencies begin with GS for general schedule, followed by three numbers, for example, GS 101 for administrative records. Lastly, let's look at specific schedules for state agencies. Instead of a list, this page includes a drop down box listing of all the agencies in Virginia which have approved specific schedules. Click on the drop down box to select your agency. Click Submit to see all of the specific schedules for the selected agencies. There are two types of specific schedules: all agency schedules, which are used by the entire agency. Then there are department specific schedules, which are used by specific departments within the agency. What are the components of a retention schedule? The retention schedule is made up of record series. A record series is a group of similar records that are arranged according to a filing system and that are related as the result of being created, received, or used in the same activity. Record series can be compared to big buckets of related records that need to be retained together for the same time period. Here is one close-up look at GS 101, the State Agency General Schedule for Administrative Records. The record series are listed alphabetically from A to Z. To search for a specific series title or keyword, pressing the Control key and the F key will bring up a search box in your browser or PDF reader. You can then type in a keyword or phrase to locate relevant sections of the schedule. Each series appears as a row. The first column within the row contains the series title and a brief description of the series. The second column contains the unique series number. The third column contains the retention period for the series. Records that are permanent and never destroyed do not have a retention period. The fourth column contains the disposition instructions for the series. Disposition identifies the final destination of the record series. This could be destruction via confidential methods such as shredding, or nonprofit, non-confidential methods such as sending records to the landfill or recycling. If the series is permanent, the disposition identifies the location where those records will be permanently stored, whether that be on site in the agency's facilities or in the Library of Virginia's archives. Depending on the agency or locality, the schedule may have a different format, which is considered the older format. Overall, the structure is similar, but the orientation is portrait, while the current format is landscape. Also, the scheduled retention and disposition of the series is combined into one column. A bit more on retention periods. The retention statement is written as a time unit, such as 6 months, 1 year, 10 years, etc., plus a cutoff. The cutoff starts the retention clock. Cutoffs can be based on events. For example, the end of the state fiscal year, calendar year, or academic year. Or cutoffs can be based on actions. For example, the creation of the record, the last action, final payment, or project completion. Some cutoffs are subject to interpretation by the agency. For example, after closed, after last action, or after superseded, obsolete, or rescinded are all cutoffs that may mean different things depending on the agency or the records in question. Each agency should decide how to define and apply these cutoffs via the agency's internal policies and procedures and apply the cutoffs consistently. The Records Oversight Committee approves revisions to the retention schedules to make sure they are accurately reflected the records created in the Commonwealth. Make sure to always reference the most updated schedule via the Library of Virginia website. If you have any questions about the retention schedules or recommendations for revision to the schedules, contact your records management analyst at the Library of Virginia.